We shut down, went to sleep, and forgot who we really were.
All right. Woo! That song was really just for me to hear, so thank you. Keith McCory, you said what I was going to say. Keith has been here since 2023, my brother from another mother. And he was here for the Gymnasium Jock Jams edition. Who was here? Raise your hand. 2023. That was a good year. We were in a gymnasium, but we made it work. And now, 2026, 4 years later, who's new? Raise your hand. What? Look around, look around, look around. Make sure they feel loved, seen, and heard. You know the drill. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Katie Ray. I am your host. I am your professional hype person, and I am a human that with every interaction I have with you, I want to pour my ridiculous amount of energy that is not alcohol, caffeine, or drug related into you to remind you who you are, what you're capable of, and the magic that is you. That's just me. Check my references. But this event is a fundraiser. We are growing rapidly at Fostering Hearts, Florida, which we'll get to in a little bit. But we're anti-gala. I'll go to all your galas. Empowerment is in November. I will dance. I will do the things. But this is not that, right? We do things a little different. Check out your brochures on your tables from Illumination Creative Group. Sarah Stone, to know her is to love her. And there's a QR code by my beautiful face. Don't let your friends do brochures and signs because your face ends up everywhere. And you're like, hey, what are we doing? She's like, no, I love your face. I'm going to put it all over the brochure. I'm like, okay. There's a QR code. If your heart desires, put $10 on that QR code. Put 10,000. Put $1. I don't care. But the main focus of this event is to inspire you. Inspire you to celebrate yourself more, to love yourself more, to know that everything is inside of you that you want. You just got to go after it. And that's what I think is science, right? If I inspire you today, you then inspire your family and friends, and then you inspire communities, and then we serve the most vulnerable populations. That's like magic to me, am I right? And that's what we're doing. You know, and some people ask me, so do you understand the message? Good people uplift each other. We can save the world. It's really heavy right now. Get rid of anxiety and just take action, right? That's what you're going to do today. But some people ask me sometimes, and this is how their voice is, they're like, how do you do it, Katie? And I'm like, first of all, why are you talking like that? Second, you're right. Let's go through this a little. I have 3 kids, 12, 10, and 6, who are, that's my favorite job. They're amazing and crazy, and I learn something new every day. They also said they would not come here today because they hear me talk often, and they wanted to swim at the neighbor's pool. So, priorities, that's fine. I love writing books. I have a couple. Your labels don't define you, you define you, which is removing shame, owning your story, showing up as you are. Uniquely loved for being you, children's book, for kids in powerless situations, to know that the power is within them. And I love to speak empowerment, sales, leadership, advocacy, you name it, I'm here. I love a mic. And I have a consulting firm called Humans First Coaching. Do you get my purpose here? You pour into people in your teams. You don't lose your soul in corporate. When I left corporate, that was me giving back to corporate. And then I have Fostering Hearts, Florida. You're welcome, corporate. But now I have Fostering Hearts, Florida, which has a big chunk of my heart. But I don't do this on my own. I have people. My privilege of having the most supportive family and friends who get you up off the ground and remind you who you are every day. I have people. So I've been able to make my life what I wanted because of the people. You see my family running around here. They're like, damn it, Katie, another event? I'll do it, but damn it. And I have people, so it blows my fucking mind that we think a child in a system that was not built to support them is going to get it. That they're just going to understand at 18 when they age out that, oh, I get life now. I can totally do this without people. They go through a system. Maybe they met a 4th grade teacher they loved. And they're like, oh, I found someone. And then next week they move. Or maybe they're home with their siblings. And then the next day their brother leaves for another house. Guys, this is real life. And we expect a child to not have behavior issues, to think that they can just trust you when they meet you, when they've been in a system without people. So I thought, I'm passionately aggressive about this subject, if you noticed by the F word. And I was like, okay, so this vision's on my heart. Somebody wake up. Wait, Mom, we're doing this. So my vision on my heart has been put into action. Fostering Hearts Florida is a nonprofit organization that closes the educational gap for foster youth and aged out young adults. That's what we do. We did it. Fuck yeah. But we don't do it alone, and we have people. So we have programs like the Safe Classroom. We have the GED program. We have tutoring. Since our launch, we have helped over 110 foster youth and aged out foster youth. Our launch, when we started in 2022, and I was like researching, I'm like, shit, there's so many gaps in the system, I'm not going to fill them all. So education was our thing that we were doing. And in August 2024, who was here last year? Miss Liberty's back. She didn't leave me yet. Miss Liberty's back. She launched us at Friends of Joshua House. She was our first educator, August 2024. Then, April 2025 happened, and we got Miss Jill and Miss Tatiana to start our GED program, and Dr. Rhonda, if she's here, to launch us and get our first graduate in May at Friends of Joshua House. Then, wait, hold the applause. We're going to make them all stand. They hate me. Wait one second. And then we started supporting Maddie's movement virtually with the aged out young adults with their program. And Miss Jill runs that. I'm pretty sure she has like 50 students, but we're good. We're good. She's the director of GED. She's doing it. She's killing it. And then we started supporting Ever Forward, which is another safe space of group homes. Hell yeah. And we tutor them with Miss Susan and Miss Kate now, and we support them. Then we got specialized tutors, Miss Sarah and Miss Jessica, who's actually tutoring kids right now on a Sunday, insane, to work on reading and math cases. And then we brought Dr. Fenton in for the extreme cases. They're working with a 16-year-old that can't read that wants to go in the military. This is real life, y'all. Don't worry, we'll get excited a little bit. I always provide happiness after. And then Dr. Fenton came on. And then our last, well, not last because we're expanding tremendously, but we just opened in Largo at Ready for Life with Miss Stacy, our GED educator, and Miss Donna, our early learning development. You guys! Stand up! You have to stand up! You guys have to stand up! This is it! This is it. They took my heart's mission and put it into action because you need people. And we don't do it alone. We partner with other organizations. We have Rosie here from Friends of Joshua House, our launch. We have Tanya from Ever Forward here. Effie couldn't make it for Maddie's movement, but Carrie's here. We work very closely together. And Ready for Life. I don't know if anyone showed up from Ready for Life, but that's okay. We're here. And listen, these are partners. These are other nonprofits doing the work. I know everybody sees this quote on a pillow, better together, but it's really true. Like, you have to partner with people. We have our board chair, Jamie, and her amazing daughter who is in the foster care system, Alicia, that have stood by my side to be like, hey, chill out, you're going a little too fast, which is great, thank you. I had to bring my bro on board to do the money stuff, you know, like, we have to figure it out. Because you need people, and everybody in this room is a part of the movement now. Like, you are, right? And we're ready for it. You'll see, this is going to be a great day to inspire you and remind you that you matter, you're worth it, do what's on your heart, find your people, and maybe, you know, volunteer a little, I don't know, do something, fill up your cup. But I want you to remember, you don't have to be a parent or a coach or a teacher. Like, all of us were kids. Fact check me. All of you were children. Every single person in this room had someone, needed someone, or lost someone. And that's what foster youth go through. You got to get heavy for a second to change the world, am I right? Yeah. And that's what we're doing. Okay, so yeah, yada yada, all this. Love you guys. We're celebrating our educators today because I don't know how I would do it without them. And also, I said 110, but we got 5 cases last week, so 115, you're welcome. You'll see your emails. But like, we're going to keep doing the work. We need your support, awareness, advocacy, all of that, because we're not stopping now. We can't. It's working. And some of did our graduates show up yet? All right, I'll call them out later. Okay, so our program today is amazing. We have speakers that are going to pour into you, share their stories. We have lunch. Don't forget our big picture outside after lunch. Small business, I saw everybody mingling. We have a few speakers before lunch, nonprofit spotlight, few speakers after lunch. This goes fast, y'all. This goes fast. But I hope I inspired you. Human connection allows you to thrive. It just does. Again, call me a scientist today. I don't care. But it just works. Thank you.
Hi guys, can you hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. Like Katie mentioned, my name is Keely McCormick. I'm a reporter with the local ABC station here, and I also teach fitness classes at a studio in Midtown. Now, before we get too much into my speech, can we give another round of applause for Katie? The work Katie does with the foster kids in our community is nothing short of incredible. So if you haven't had a chance to chat with Katie today, make sure to pull her aside, give her a hug. She's got a lot of personality to share with everyone here. Now, Katie just mentioned the first time that her and I met, but what Katie doesn't know about that day was I was going through a really tough time in my life. Getting up and going to work was not my jam. I wanted to stay in bed, and work was really getting in the way of my depression. So I got up that day thinking it was going to be like any other day, but it wasn't, because I met Katie. I sat across the table from someone who was loud, and she has the big hair, and she gave me a hug and dropped a few F-bombs here and there. But I left our conversation feeling energized, inspired, and connected. And for those of you, I see a lot of head nods, that's what Katie does. I sat across from someone who was authentically themselves. Katie was Katie, and that's exactly what I needed that day. I didn't need Katie to be all buttoned up and proper for her news interview. I needed her to be herself. Now that's kind of the whole point of my speech today. I needed Katie to be Katie, and someone needs you to be you. So if you've never gotten permission before, I'm here to give permission to you now. You have permission to be you. You have permission to take up space. You have permission to be too loud. You have permission to laugh too loud. If you laugh too loud, I want to hear you cackle today. You have permission to be too bold, whatever it is. You have permission to be you. And by the end of my speech, I hope you don't feel the need to get permission. Now, by raise of hands, how many of you have ever been told you're too much? Yeah, a lot of hands there. I think that's really a common thing we all hear a lot. Two things I've heard my whole life: you talk too much and you're too loud. I'm like, yes. And then I did manage to make a career out of it, so I think that that's okay. I go yap into a microphone all morning at the news, and then I leave and I put my little fitness headset on. I'm like, pulse for 10 more seconds! And somehow I find myself here again with a microphone in my hand. Those are twos I'm proud of. One thing I wasn't so proud of growing up was you're too emotional. I can see my group of friends here, they're all smirking. They know I am too emotional. But it's something I've come to accept. In my career, it's the news. Sometimes my casual day at work is the worst day of someone's life. So when I was in journalism school, professors often told me, hey, you're going to have to figure out how to separate emotion from work. I was like, okay, I'll work on that. Well, I've been in the industry for several years now, still have not figured that one out, and I don't think I'm going to. Emotion was something I was ashamed of growing up. I tried to swallow those tears. I just wanted to be, cool. I wanted to be a boss babe. I didn't want to have these emotions. But now I've come to realize that's my gift. That's something that I didn't realize until a few years ago. Like I mentioned, I cover some pretty horrific things in the news. And this story that made me come full circle and realize that my emotions was a gift, it was a tragic story. There was a hit and run in Ybor City. This happened a few years ago. A man was riding his bike home pretty late at night, and he was hit and killed by a car. It was horrible. So I go into work the next day, and my bosses are kind of, walking me through what had happened. They're like, here's the information, get out to Ybor and go do your live shots. So I did. I was reporting on, is the suspect still on the loose? Do we know what the suspect looks like? Just the facts of what happened. The sun comes up, and the victim's family showed up on scene. And that's when everything started to change. As you can imagine, they were hysterically crying. They walk up, they're distraught, and we started talking, and they said to me, well, what do we do? They needed direction, they wanted action right there and then. And unfortunately, hit and runs are really common all across the Tampa Bay region, so this wasn't the first one I had covered. I kind of knew what detectives were going to go through once they got on scene. So I said, the first thing detectives will do is they're going to try to find some ring camera footage. So the daughter grabs my hand and she's like, can you help me? And I looked at my cameraman who's holding my camera and my microphone, and I looked at her and I was like, yep, let's go. And I left my cameraman on the side of the street and I went with her door to door. We knocked on doors, and then eventually someone let us inside. And he said, let me pull up the ring camera footage on my computer, we'll see what we can find. And he pressed play, and she just watched the video of her father get hit and killed by a car. It was horrible. And as you can imagine, she grabbed onto me. We were still strangers at that point. We fell to the ground, and I'm just holding this woman as she's shaking and crying. I'm crying alongside her. I went home that day, cried the rest of the day, cried the rest of the week. I'm not telling you the story so you guys think highly of me or that you think I'm sweet or empathetic. I'm telling you this because a few weeks later, that woman reached back out to me. And she said, thank you. She said, thank you for not getting a soundbite or the story and leaving me. Thank you for going door to door. And thank you for holding me during the darkest hour of my life. And that's when it all clicked. This thing I was so ashamed of, being too emotional, too empathetic, too in everyone else's business, was my gift. It was her light at her darkest hour of her entire life. So I want you guys to all remember that. Whatever your two is, if you're too emotional, if you're too loud, too talkative, maybe it's too bossy, you're too much, you're too loud, quiet, whatever your two is, that's who you are. So figure it out, grab onto it, lean into it, because you never know who needs you to be you on any given day. Thank you.
So raise your hand if you've ever been on Zoom, sharing a brilliant thought, making eye contact with the screen, and then somebody has the audacity to say, you're muted. Anybody? Right? It's funny, but it's also uncomfortable. But the truth is, a lot of us don't just get muted on Zoom. We live muted. Muted in meetings, muted in relationships, muted in rooms we worked hard to get into, y'all. And I know this room is called Celebrate You, but before we celebrate, I want you to be honest, and I want us to be honest. I lived off of exposure for years. Come to find out I couldn't pay my rent with it, right? I tried, but it didn't work. Now listen, I wasn't ungrateful, right? But I was afraid. Afraid that if I asked for more, I'd lose everything. So, why do we stay quiet even when something doesn't sit right? So there are three things that I've observed. First, fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being too much, as what Keely just said, right? And then fear of being too difficult. Second, self-doubt. You know that little voice in us that would always say, well, maybe I should just be grateful, right? And then third, that little thing we call imposter syndrome. I call it being highly capable in a world that taught us to question ourselves, right? Now listen, my real shift, it did not come from a big win. It actually came from a diagnosis. I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. And then suddenly, I could not ignore the cost of staying silent. Anxiety, it does not whisper. It interrupts. It showed up in my body, y'all. It showed up in my voice. And it showed up in my breath. And then all of a sudden, I knew I had to do something. I knew that when I was in those rooms filled with opportunity, all of a sudden my voice would just tighten. But that's when one day I said, I need to advocate for myself. And if I don't advocate for myself, I am teaching somebody on how to treat me. So that's when I unmuted myself out loud, right? I negotiated higher fees. I said no to opportunities that did not align. I stopped accepting exhaustion as a form of passion. And the thing that people don't understand is that the doors did not close. Those opportunities, they just aligned, right? So the right ones, they stayed open, right? And then the wrong ones, they done walked away. So, if there's one thing that I want you to take with yourself is that advocacy, it's not aggression. Boundaries, it's not rejection. And you using your voice, it does not make you difficult, sweetheart. It makes you honest, right? So, I want to leave you all with some encouragement, because one of the bravest things that we could do is to allow our voices to take up space. I was born by the river in a little tin chair. And oh, just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. But I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know, I want y'all to know your change is gonna come. Thank you so much. Come on.
Holy moly. So, I love you. I love what you're doing. I love fostering hearts. The introvert that's socially awkward being up here with all of you extroverts. This is crazy. But I'm here to talk about celebrating you, because I had to find out the hard way that you can't celebrate anybody else until you celebrate yourself. For 16 years, my biological mother, my stepmother were abusive, poured shame, fear, doubt, hatred, violence into my life. At 15, I joined the culinary ranks. At 16, I started taking drugs, and I went down a path. And that path led me to hate myself. I hated myself. I hated the vision of what I had become. I was homeless. I was an addict. I was food insecure. I still deal with pulling off the pieces of the mask so I can stand on a stage like this and tell you that the only way you can celebrate anyone else is to learn to celebrate yourself. So people paid it forward. People paid it forward to me. They saw past all of the things on the outside, and they gave me hope. They gave me purpose. They gave me a mission. And now today, I get to pour into hundreds of people in this portion of my life, in the form of Transformation Kitchen, where we break cycles of poverty, homelessness, and food insecurity by paying it forward to other people and giving back. We celebrate them because I learned how to celebrate myself. So now we can celebrate you.
Yeah.
Celebrate You speaks to me in so many different ways. And if I can leave you with anything, this may be the shortest one because this is new for me. But if I could leave you with anything, don't be an ally, be an advocate. Be someone who takes action in your own life to get the barriers out of your way, to learn how to celebrate you so that you can help Fostering Hearts. You can help your brother and sister on the streets. You can help those around you to celebrate them. Celebrate You, it's not just about this. It's about this. Thank you very much.
For having me here today. We're here to celebrate you, and I really want to celebrate the teachers and everybody that has brought Fostering Hearts to life, because it's an amazing mission. So thank you for everything that you're doing. You are transforming lives, you're inspiring young minds, and really changing the trajectory of people's lives. So thank you. I hope that all of you have had something positive happen that's been in your path, but sometimes not everything is positive. Trials and tribulations, and that is life. But how we deal with that, how we frame that, what our mindset is, really matters. For me, I had something happen. It was Saturday, May 17th in 2014. It was a beautiful Saturday afternoon. My husband and son got up early. They were excited. They were going to the Tradewinds Hotel. There was an unveiling of a 30,000-gallon fish tank from the guys with Tanked. It was a TV show. They built fish tanks. And then Guy Harvey was there that day. And he signed my son's t-shirt. And they came home. They were excited. We went and got pedicures. It was a jovial afternoon. That night I was having dinner with some of my friends. We were celebrating our May birthdays. So we went downtown. We had a lovely dinner. We were laughing. We were carrying on. And then my phone rang. And it was a call. I didn't know who the number was. And I picked up the phone and it said, "This is All Children's Hospital. There's been an accident. Your son's come here by ambulance. You need to come right away. He's okay." So we rushed down to the hospital. My heart was pounding. I saw my sweet 6-year-old boy there laying on the stretcher, fragile. I didn't know what to do. I was scared. Didn't know where my husband was. At that point, they ushered me into a room. And my heart dropped again because the sheriff walked in. And he said, "I'm so sorry, but your husband didn't make it. He died on impact. But it's a miracle that your son survived. It was a head-on collision." At that point, with a flood of emotion, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was scared. I was fearful. I was sad. I was grieving. But I knew I needed to be strong for my son, because through adversity brings strength. And at that moment, he needed me more than ever before. So we were in the hospital for about a week. We came out. He had 7 compression fractures in his spine. He was in a full thoracic brace for 6 months. We went through years of physical therapy, years of trauma therapy, hypnotherapy, more therapy than I care to recall. And for years, I stuffed all of my emotions and my grief down inside. Has anybody ever done that? Just stuff everything down inside? For me, it was a coping mechanism. And then one day I woke up and I said, it's okay to grieve. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to move on with your life. And it's okay to be sad. Because I realized that mindset truly matters. And I could flip the narrative. So say that with me. Mindset matters.
Mindset matters.
One more time. Mindset matters.
Mindset matters.
And at that point, I decided, what am I going to do with my life? And I've been in finance for 20 years, and I decided I want to give back. Could I be in a space where we have the best healthcare in our community, where we offer patient care, the care that I received that inspired me to be in the nonprofit world, that we can offer care to anyone, regardless of their ability to pay, and that's what a nonprofit health system does. So I got into the nonprofit world, and then I realized that raising money for a nonprofit was so much more rewarding than raising money for venture capital firms. But it was also a lot more difficult. But it is a lot more rewarding. And so at that point, I thought, mindset mattered. I flipped the lens. I turned lemons into lemonade. I turned setbacks into momentum. And I turned pain into purpose. So a couple of years ago, I had another setback. I don't know if anybody remembers what happened on September 24th, 2024. Anybody remember? You know, at my table back there, I have a few friends that remember. Yeah, Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton literally took me by storm. I've been in the same house for 24 years. The same house my late husband and I purchased before we married. And not 1 inch of water ever came in my home. But that night, I knew it was going to hit us. As I saw the water come over the seawall, into the grass, into the pool, and then at about 11 o'clock, it was rushing through the front door and water rushing through the back door, crashing in. 3 feet of water in my house. Then my son, he's 17 at that time, is walking through the water and saying, "Mom, look, it's bioluminescence." I said, "No, Clifford, it's shit water, literally. It's water from the bay. It's bay water, it's dirty water, get out of it." And there's fish in my pool, and there's seaweed on my sofa, and I am sitting there on my bed holding my 14-year-old dog that did not like to swim. And then at 1 in the morning, the water receded out almost as fast as it came in. And the next morning, I was sitting on the dock with my head in my hands, bawling. Well, 90% of everything I ever owned was going to be out on the street. And I looked up, and there was this majestic sunrise. We call it lavender hour, when the purple and the pink hues just kiss the water. And it's so beautiful, and it was so peaceful in the wake of this devastation. And I thought, how am I going to get through this now? And then I learned another lesson I wanted to share with you, which I say 1% a day. You can do anything if you do 1% a day or 1% more a day. And it's something that I learned from a speaker one time. I heard him speak, and he has Down syndrome. And he said he was living with his parents on the couch, literally a couch potato, and his dad one day said, "Get up and do something." So he did 1 sit-up and 1 push-up. The next day he did 2 sit-ups, 2 push-ups, and so on and so forth. And before you knew it, he ran a marathon. And then Adidas heard his story. And then they created a campaign after him called Running 321. And it was the 3 sets of chromosome 21 that make up Down syndrome. And so he became the face of Adidas. He actually was the only person with Down syndrome to ever complete a Ironman. So he ran a marathon, then he ran an Ironman. And he did it by 1% a day. So you can do anything you put your mind to. Mindset matters, and 1% a day. I've also ran 2 marathons, although I'm not an avid runner. And I could say I was a middle-aged, overweight, out of shape woman when I started. And I did 1% a day. 1 mile turned into 2, turned into 3. And when I crossed that finish line at 26.2 miles, I realized that you can do anything, because through adversity brings strength. So I wanted to leave you with one final thing, and it's something that my late husband used to tell me. And he used to say, "What other people think of you is none of your business." So let's say that with me. What other people think of you is none of your business.
What other
People think of you is none of your business.
Yes, to do this.
And it took me a long time to realize I was looking for affirmations from other people, but I had to believe in myself. And we're here to celebrate you. So believe in yourself, because through adversity comes strength. Mindset matters. You can do 1% a day. You are beautiful. Celebrate yourself, and you are enough. And for whatever you do each and every day. Thank you.
And I represent Friends of Joshua House Foundation. We are a foster care campus, not a facility.
Whatever.
So we have 11 acres. It's just a beautiful place to be. It's been around over 35 years. It's 11 acres. We have 5 homes. We house children that have been neglected, abandoned, and abused, and we have created a safe haven for these children. We serve kids from 6 to 17 years of age. Our goal and our mission at the Friends of Joshua House Foundation is to try and just love these kids, meet them where they are. And it's a whole community that has to come in and help make that happen. Fostering Hearts is an absolute blessing to our children. As a matter of fact, we have one of our kids aging out tomorrow, and he gets to leave with a GED because of these fabulous. And I know Jill doesn't want to stand up, but she is.
Stand up!
I know Tati doesn't want to stand up, but she will. Stand up! Yes, it matters. Liberty, stand up, stand up. These gems are making such an impact and changing the lives of our children. We want to be sure our kids have gone through so much that at the very least, when they do age out, they're going to have that. And hopefully from there, you know, it opens it opens the doors for them in a different way that otherwise they wouldn't have. So that is Joshua House. Volunteers always welcome. It takes a community. Our children, as we can imagine, again, the trauma that comes with that could be a 3-day conference to talk about. But our goal and our mission is to love them, meet them where they are, and it takes all of us to give back and feed into them. So if anyone is ever interested, please feel free to call me at Joshua House, and would love to have anybody in the community come in and help serve some pretty amazing children. Woo!
I love what you're doing. This is about being an advocate. This is taking action. Not just an ally, not just a like on social media. This is taking action, doing something. I love this collaboration. That's what we're all about at hr-4u.org. We started in 2022 as an advocacy group. The goal was to teach leaders what it means when you pour into people and you pay a living wage. How you can bolster your bottom line, and you're going to have people that will stay with you longer, that are more productive, that are not calling out sick. It's not from me, it's from Forbes, it's from MIT, it's from all these other incredible organizations that have figured out that when you pour into people, it just makes better employees and better partners, and your business is going to thrive. What we realized along the way, that even though we were doing advocacy work, we needed boots on the ground. I come from the culinary world. I told you a little bit about my story earlier. So we wanted to pay it forward in a different way. We started creating what's called transformation kitchens. There are 5 organizations in the United States that do the breadth of the work that we do. It is about the holistic person. Because we are giving a hand out, we're giving a hand up. Just like what I needed in my lifetime, we are giving people the opportunity to thrive, to get out of their way, to move past and through their addiction, to get out of the streets, and to create a new life for themselves. Transformation Kitchen is about culinary skills, life skills, power skills. It's about wellness coaching. It's about pouring into human beings. And that comes with a lot of moving parts. So we ask for advocates all the time. We're happy. I can't wait to come and build something with you guys, and we start teaching culinary skills to kids that are aging out or people that are in the system. So what we do in HR for You is about changing lives. We don't just flip eggs, we flip lives.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
My name is Amy Darty. I'm with the Riley Jean Foundation. My husband and I started this foundation after losing our daughter, Riley, at only 3 years old to a window fall accident. She fell from a 4th floor in our apartment.
We love you.
Just give me a minute, I'll be okay. Only 2.5 years ago. And we started this foundation in honor of her. As you can imagine, my life was shattered. My family broken. The only thing that got me through it was my oldest daughter, Charlie, my husband, Ed, and my desire to help prevent this tragedy from happening to other families with children. Okay, now I'll be okay. After the accident, I learned that 3,500 to 5,000 children fall from windows each year and are hospitalized. A small percentage of those children die, like Riley, while others are left handicapped or severely injured. Out of those children, out of those window falls, around 94% of the windows had a screen in place. A screen can give a family a false sense of protection, as it did for us. I also learned that states like New York and Minnesota have window safety regulations in place. Prohibiting the windows from opening more than 4 inches in residential buildings. There's regulations in place in those states, but in Tampa there is not. In some of the newer buildings, they have window fall protection devices in place, but most buildings do not and are not required to. So our mission at the Riley Jean Foundation is to change that, to find where the gaps are in the Florida Building Code, and to advocate for legislation change that requires landlords to install window safety into their buildings. The second part of our mission is just creating awareness, educating families about the 4-inch rule, about installing window fall protection devices in their apartments, and also education about window screen safety is key. If we can help just to prevent one fall, to save one life, that life could have been Riley. And so education and awareness is one of our key missions. The last thing the Riley Jean Foundation does is we also support other families going through unimaginable loss of a child. We reach out to them and provide resources just based on their specific situation. We also partner with other nonprofits that are involved with child suffering and or child loss. Thank you for having me, and today I'm celebrating just being able to be up here.
Good morning. I think it's still morning. Good afternoon. My name is Latanya Scott, and I first want to thank you, Katie. For the last couple of years, Katie has given me some space and time to be able to be present here. And last year, I had a baby and was unable to come, and I thought, oh, I can just bring her, I can strap her to my chest, and I can just be on the stage. And I'm glad I didn't do that because I landed in the hospital anyway. So thank you, Katie, for the third opportunity to actually show up. So I'm here today. My partner, Kamika Shirley, is out in the audience. There she is, raising her hand. We started Blazing Stars Montessori School, which is a nonprofit private Montessori school out in Dade City. I am going to read a little bit of my notes because I am a teacher and I follow rules. So my partner Kamika and I are co-founding teacher leaders, so that means we're teachers in the classroom and we lead the school at the same time, because if you're an educator, you know that we know what's best for children, and so we are able to pivot because we are in charge too, which is great. Our school is an authentic Montessori school, and it is located in Dade City, which is on the ancestral lands of the Seminole, Muskogee, and Tabagawa Native tribes. And at Blazing Stars, we serve children ages 3 years old all the way to 6th grade. We are committed to providing an equitable, affordable Montessori program, because people think that Montessori schools are for the elite, and they are not. Dr. Montessori started her schools in Italy, and she started with what we would call the latchkey children, the children that had their quarters in their shoes and their keys around their necks, children who were left alone, but also children who what we would deem are ESE or special needs children. So our programming is hands-on, and it is meant to serve the children, the whole child. And so the whole child being their intellectual, their social, and their emotional needs. Our classrooms are small. We're a micro school, and they are built to foster children's confidence and their independence. Our school is in place and honors the light of the child, and we believe that education is not just to prepare the children for school, but to prepare them for their life. This means that we are helping them to think critically, act compassionately, and ultimately be the authors of their own past. So at Blazing Stars, we are more than a school. We are a diverse ecosystem, a living, breathing, changing community where our families and our teachers are a part of the village, and all the people in our environments, including the children, have the opportunity to learn how to live equitably and have opportunities for all children to shine. So today we are celebrating what beautiful surprises life has to offer for you if only you allow your ecosystem to thrive. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carrie with Maddie's Movement. We're a nonprofit organization that helps teens and young adults aging out of the foster care system. So we provide that gap where the system lets off. So with that, we do that through advocacy, where we have advocates, volunteers that help guide them on their path. We walk alongside them and make sure that they are achieving those goals that they want, and we're building that community that they don't have by helping them with volunteers, with us, me and Effie, and our board and other volunteers who are out in the audience today. Thank you guys. And we do have some of our young adults here today too. So, and with Katie Ray and her amazing teachers. Thank you, Jill. Community is everything, and that's what Maddie's Movement is about, and that's what we're trying to do with every one of these young adults that are aging out of the system, is to provide a community for them, because we all know that there's no community, you can't succeed. So please think about everything and helping Katie Ray so we can continue to help them and Maddie's Movement. Woo!
You guys see the cue up? When they say up, 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 I said up, up, up. So if you have kids, you must know that song. Yes. So if you're wondering, why did she pick this song? If you listen to the chorus, she says, I'm done hiding, now I'm shining like I'm born to be. So today's talk is Divine Detour, and I'm going to talk about that. So like Katie said, we met on a call and we kicked it off, and my name is Tyree Taylor, and it is my mission to pour into women. Sorry, men, like you guys are great too, but I have a passion to pour into women so that they can truly walk into their purpose, because when we walk in our purpose, other people can walk in theirs. So I want to have a little story time with you all. So come back to August 4th, 2017. At the time, I live in Maryland. I had just bought my first home. I was married, and I had one kid. I think she was 2. And I went to the doctors to get my birth control taken out of my arm. Right there. If you know, you might have had it before. It's just a small rod. It's really quick and easy. You can get it in and out in the doctors, no issues. So this particular time that I got it taken out, the doctor took a very long time locating the rod. And I didn't think anything of it until I felt sharp shooting pain go right down my arm through the center of my hand. And I asked the doctors, everything okay? It hurts. And the doctor said, no, you're fine, it's okay. So I said, okay. And he kept digging, and then he finally found the rod. So I thought, I'm okay. And then I left, and then I got in the car, and I still felt the pain. And then I noticed these 3 fingers started to go numb. And I didn't quite understand, but I just went home and I rested. And then that night it got worse. So I called the doctor. I called like the doctor line, and I told them what had happened. And they said, oh, just rest, you'll be fine. 2 days later, I wasn't fine. So I went to urgent care, and urgent care said the same thing. Just rest, you'll be fine. See, I got some people that understand. We get it, okay? So a week later, I'm still in pain. These 3 fingers at this point, they're not only numb, but I can't even move them. Like these 2 are fine, but these 3, I can't move them. So then I went to my primary care doctor, who I loved, and he listened to me and he took me seriously. And then that's when they referred me to a neurologist. And I got nerve conduction tests done, and they discovered that my median nerve had been nicked when the doctor was searching for the rod. So at this point, still can't move these 3 fingers. They're numb, they're purple, pain is just intense. So for the next few months, I went through a cycle of different doctor's appointments and a lot of urgent care visits, a lot of ER visits, and lots of medical bills. And doctors couldn't tell me anything. Every time I would see a doctor, they would say, nerves are tricky. It could possibly heal, or it could be lifelong, and you just won't move those 3 fingers again. So you guys don't know me, but I'm very resilient. So if someone tells me something like that, I'm not receiving that, okay? And not only is it just me, but, but I serve a powerful God, and I know that my God is a healer. So when the doctors would tell me things like that, I knew that that wasn't it. So while I was experiencing the chronic pain, mind you, we're in 2017, I'm working, I had my dream job. At this point, I finally made it in the federal government. If you are from up north, you know that making it into the federal government is the goal, always, okay? 401k, you get the good job, you can go up the ladder, and I finally made it. I'm working for the FBI, I'm a management and program analyst. This particular position goes up to a GS-13. So if you know, you know, okay? So life is good. Bought the house, and my goal was before 25 to buy the house. Sealed the deal. But then the nerve injury. So I'm still trying to just carry on with life. I'm still trying to show up to work. But again, up north, we actually have seasons, and we have real winters, okay? And those winters can be brutal sometimes. And I noticed with the nerve pain, it would intensify during the cold months. So it got to a point where, and again, up north, it could be cold for almost 5 months, sometimes 6. So during those months, I couldn't go to work. So I went from someone who didn't even take PTO, because I'm a scholar. I think excellence is everything. Give all you got, all the things, to someone who was missing work consecutively for 5 months. Okay? So at the time, I had leave, and I used it. And then I got to the part where I needed borrow leave. And then I got to the point where I'm using FMLA. And throughout this whole time, I keep hearing just a whisper saying, just step away. And I'm a faithful steward, I do my best to be obedient. But when I hear a whisper to walk away, and I just bought a brand new house, and I'm the breadwinner, and I have a child, I can't really act on just walking away, okay? So then a year passes, and I'm still in the same situation. Still can't move these 3 fingers. At this point, I can't take my daughter out by ourselves, because I can't buckle her seatbelt because I can't move these 3 fingers again. Still going to the doctors. At this point, I was diagnosed with depression from the chronic pain, and then that's when I got into therapy, and that is when life started to change. So I'm in therapy. My therapist teaches me about breath work and mindfulness, and the pain is real, but you can switch the narrative. Like you feel the pain, but let's think about you being at a place that is just better than where you are. So another year goes past, and I hear the whisper again. I hear God saying, leave. And I say, God, where I'm going? So I tell my husband then, at the time, I'm going to resign. And he's like, what are you going to do? I don't know. But God told me to leave, and I'm going to be obedient finally. So here's the thing, y'all. Remember, this happened in 2017. But in 2014, that same whisper came and told me Tampa. But again, I had my own dreams and vision. I wanted to buy the house. By the time I turned 25, my whole family lived in Maryland. Why would I leave? So I ignored that. But when God kept telling me to leave after the injury, Tampa came back up. And I said, okay, maybe it's connected. So I took a trip here. Long story short, I came and I noticed that the pain was drastically down. Like it didn't go away, it's still very much there, but I felt a difference. And it was in that moment that I knew God really wanted me to be here. So I went back home, and it took 2 years, but we ended up moving here. And I shared this story to tell you that's why the talk is called Divine Detour, because sometimes whoever you serve, for me is God, but sometimes your higher source will pull you off track. And when I say off track, I mean your track, right? Because we were all created for a purpose. And I want you to really think about for a moment, if you aren't walking in that purpose, what if somebody else's life is connected to you being obedient and walking in your purpose? But you want to do what you want to do. And I tell people I work with all the time, don't be like me. Don't have to get sat down. Like I said, sat down on purpose. Like I didn't say sit down. Don't get sat down from pain or anything like that because you aren't being obedient. And the last thing that I want to share is, which is one of the reasons why I work with women. When it comes to us, sometimes we have trauma that gets trapped in our bodies, and we may not know, and it may end up showing up as an autoimmune disease or an injury, right? So the injury was real, but I had no clue that I had some childhood trauma that I needed to work through. And then when the injury happened, I got into therapy and I started working through the childhood trauma. And during that time, I was also diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease. But I'm happy to say, you all can see I move these fingers, right? The pain is managed. And after healing the childhood trauma and getting divorced also, I no longer have inflammatory bowel disease at all. And the doctors don't get it. So, thank you. It's been a journey, but I share that, and that is what has led me here, which is why I'm so passionate with working with women, because I understand our bodies are different from men. And sometimes what gets stuck in us, it won't get stuck in them, and it shows up differently. So if you don't remember anything from what I talked about, my name, the title, where I lived, remember that you have a purpose for your life. And whatever purpose it is, God or whoever your higher source is has created you for that. And when you step into it, that's when you'll get to start to really live your life. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, guys. Like the song said, you're going to remember my name. So we're going to say it together. Cynthia Fairman.
Cynthia Fairman.
Cynthia with an S.
Cynthia with an S.
All right. Thank you, Katie. You guys are amazing. I'm so honored to be here today. If you cry, it's okay, because as we know, feelings are good, right? So I don't have tissues, but I see some napkins.
We have tissues in your bags, your swag bags in Florida Central Credit.
We got tissues in the swag bag. So here we go. I'm going to talk a little bit about eye color. How does eye color relate to foster care? Let's find out. So, I want to start with a simple question. What color are your eyes? Say it out loud.
Brown.
All right. Here's a harder question. Who in your life knows that answer without any hesitation?
My mom.
Your mom. You're so lucky you have a good one, because I didn't. Now, not because someone that you know recently stared into your eyes, but because they've looked at you long enough, cared about you deeply enough to just know what color eyes you have. There was a moment in my life that stopped me in my tracks. Someone looked at a child and knew what color eyes they had. How lucky are they? And it hit me. Not every child has someone who knows what color eyes they have. Not every child knows they know someone who notices what color eyes they have. Not every child has had someone who studies their face, learns their expressions, picks up on their little mannerisms, and know what their favorite food is. Every child deserves to have that one person who knows what color eyes they have. Because it's not really about eye color, is it? It's about being seen. It's about being known. It's about having someone in your corner who says, you matter, and I noticed you. My life didn't turn out to what I once imagined. I may not be married right now, and I definitely am not being called mom. But what I do know is I have a purpose. And my purpose, I think it's so important for you to know where my purpose comes from. You see, I'm a third-generation foster kid. If you can't do the math, let me explain. My birth mom was in foster care. My birth dad was in foster care. Maybe they met in foster care. My bio grandma was in foster care, and I was in foster care. My brother was in foster care. My younger sister was in foster care. Do I look like I was in foster care? No. That's what matters. When I was born, it's like God wanted me to fail. He said, you're going to turn into your birth mom. You're going to be absent like your birth dad. But you know what? I said, absolutely not. There's no chance. I've never been arrested. I'm not a criminal. I've never been homeless, because I know I have a purpose. I was in 6 different foster homes growing up with my little brother before I was wanted. Well, I guess you should say before I was adopted. I didn't talk until I was 4. I'm clearly making up for lost time. And believe it or not, by my figure, I only ate waffles and bologna. My hair was stringy, and I looked like someone you felt bad for. At 3 years old, I was given a title, protector. My job was to make sure that nothing ever happened to my little brother while we were in foster care. I had to let things happen to me to make sure he was safe. I experienced things that no child should ever go through. I know what it's like to not get a hug. I know what it's like to put myself to bed. I know what it's like to go to bed hungry. I know what it's like not to feel loved. I know what it's like to be touched by someone who was supposed to be safe. But, like so many other foster kids, I know what it's like to feel alone. And sometimes I still feel alone. I've been in foster homes where I wasn't loved, I was actually hated. I've been in foster homes where I wasn't a child, I was a paycheck. I paid for some people's mortgages. I've been in homes where I wasn't a person, I was just a number. And the hardest part is, it's not my story. This is the reality for so many children in foster care right now. So many kids are just treated like a number. And that's where I come in. Children in foster care are waiting. They're waiting for someone to truly see them, to value them, to really get to know them. The system failed me. It failed me in ways the average person could never even comprehend. The system tried to break me, and for a moment, it almost did. But I never gave up because I have a purpose. Today, at 33 years old, I stand in front of you. I am breaking the cycle. I don't have any children in foster care. I am the first person in my biological family to go to college. But guess what? I have 4 college degrees. I've graduated 4 times. Thank you. I currently own 3 businesses. I'm a children's book author. I'm a community advocate. I'm a best friend. But over everything, I'm a survivor. I'm making change within the foster care system every single day. I'm advocating for children that are just a number to some. I'm showing up for them. I'm doing everything in my power to make sure these children feel seen. These children feel heard. These children are loved. Because I know what it's like not to be seen, not to be heard, and not to be loved. But one thing I do know is I also know what it's like to feel loved. I know what it's like to feel seen, and I know what it's like to feel heard. Because I had one person. I had my guardian ad litem growing up, and on the day of my adoption, she realized something that doesn't mean a lot to you, but it means a lot to me. My paperwork said I had brown eyes. She interrupted the judge. She said, "Your Honor, before we start this adoption and finalize it, Cynthia's eyes are green, and that paperwork says they are brown. Fix this." And because my guardian ad litem noticed that small detail, made me realize every child in foster care, every child in the world, every person, handicap or not, deserves to know they have one person who knows what color eyes they have. In that moment, even though I was 6 years old, I was seen and I remember. And here I am, still remembering someone knew what color eyes I had. Someone saw me, someone heard me, someone knew me, someone loved me. At 3 years old, I was called a protector. At 33, I became one by choice. And now I make sure every child I meet knows they are seen, knows they are heard, and knows they are loved. Be the person who knows what color eyes somebody has. Thank you.
Powerful day, yes? And as powerful as that song feels, most of us don't wake up sounding that way. We wake up with a different voice. And it's kind of quiet and subtle at first. It's not dramatic. It sounds kind of practical. It sounds responsible. It even sounds protective. And that voice kind of can haunt us over time. But it starts out like, just be careful, don't get your hopes up,
you better play it safe. And the problem with that is we don't question that voice. Instead, we trust it. We allow it to shape our days, guide our decisions, and even determine the size of our lives. And over time, that voice gets louder. You're way far behind. You should be further ahead by now. What are you doing with your life? You're never going to get this no matter what you do. You should be further ahead than you will ever be. And that moment can really make us question this voice. Because what I know to be true is negative thoughts are not harmless. They are rehearsals. And what you rehearse, you become. And I learned that the hard way. What I'm about to share with you, this was me. And parts of it might be you. It was 2016. I was 5 years into owning and operating Rock Solid Fitness. And we grew 40% year over year the first 2 years, and 20% year over year the next 2 years. And that in itself was a complete and total miracle. Because you see, I wasn't a business owner. I was just a technician. I was just someone who loved helping other people through health and fitness. But when growth slowed down, and employees were leaving, and clients weren't walking in the door the way they used to, I had no idea what to do. And the numbers weren't the problem. The real problem was the voice in my head. You're such a loser. You don't even know how to be a CEO. You're a shitty boss. If you would just work a little bit harder, maybe you would fix this. You're probably going to fail anyway, and everyone's going to know you're a fraud. So don't ever show any of your weakness. So I did what I knew how to do. I worked until midnight. I got up at 4:30. I started to drink more. I slept less. I blamed more. And I tried to control everything. I became so unhealthy, mentally and physically, I was actually toxic. And from the outside, everything looked fine. My business was open, and I was showing up. But on the inside, I was exhausted. I was resentful, and I was completely disconnected. I had become a version of myself I didn't even like being around. Have you ever had that moment when you realize that you wouldn't even want to be friends with the person you've become? My husband and I went from being madly in love with each other to barely being able to tolerate each other. I can remember during one of my mom's visits, being curled up on the shower floor of my bathroom, bawling my eyes out. I just couldn't let her see how unhappy I had become. I lost sight of helping people. I lost sight of kindness. I lost sight of myself. I lost sight of my life and the people that mattered most. I became so unhealthy, I was wondering what was going to happen to me. And I ignored the whisper that my body gave me, and then it started to scream at me. And I told myself, I didn't have time to deal with that. I don't have time to deal with that. And if I just kept pushing through, it would go away. Have any of you done that? 3 days before that Christmas, my body shut down. And I was in my doctor's office in the exam room waiting for her. And I was furiously working on my phone, trying to catch up, answering all these emails. She knew me well. And she walked in the office and she said, "What are you doing?" And I told her, and she took my phone and she threw it across the room. Don't worry, she didn't break it. She got in my face and she said, "That's your problem. You see, I couldn't stop working, and I couldn't stop numbing. She ordered me to a diet of bone broth and rice for 2 weeks, 2 days before Christmas. So I did what every good wife does, and I went home and I opened the door and I looked my husband in the face and I said, if you want something for Christmas dinner, you're gonna have to figure that out for yourself. And that was the moment I realized that I had become the very thing that that voice was rehearsing in my head. Negative thoughts are not just noise. They shape how you lead, they shape how you love, they shape how you show up. It takes a lot of strength to interrupt that voice, to say, that thought, that voice does not get to lead me anymore. But here's what I know. I own a strength training studio. If you rehearse a movement with bad form, you're going to create dysfunction. If you rehearse a thought long enough, that's going to become your identity. And that identity starts to look like your life. So when you interrupt that thought, this is the part we don't talk about enough. It's not just one and done. You don't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to start to think differently and everything in your life changes. It takes practice, daily practice. You need to interrupt that thought and give it a stronger attachment. And sometimes it sounds like, maybe I'm not running behind. Maybe I'm just on time. Maybe I'm not failing. Maybe I'm just learning. Maybe I'm not too late. Maybe I'm just getting started. And that's the work, right? That's why I started writing. Not because I had it all figured out. I'm still a work in progress. But because I knew I didn't want to remain that version of myself. And it turns out that I wasn't the only one that needed that reminder. So stop rehearsing your limitations. Start rehearsing your strength. Start rehearsing your power. Start rehearsing your truth. This is you. This is your life. And you only get one life to live. Don't let it become the voice of someone that was never you to begin with. Learn how to turn that itty bitty shitty committee in your head into your fucking fabulous fan club. That was for you, Kate. This is me, and this is you.